What's up, little biscuits and sun-dried tomatoes? Before we get to this episode, Justin, we got a new Patreon subscriber.
What?
That's right. We got to call our boy Idris. It's been a while since we made that international call. Let's do it.
All right. You know, this shit's expensive.
Nigga, what kind of phone plan do you have?
My WhatsApp ain't working.
Jesus.
Hi, everyone. It's me, Idris. What's going on?
Hey, Idris, why'd you have to announce yourself? We know who you are, man. We've been doing this for years.
Well, I mean, man, sometimes I just want to make sure that you know that you called me. It could have been a pocket dial.
Oh, a pocket dial. All right. Well, I hope you're doing well, man. I just saw the Sonic 3 trailer not too long ago. It looks like Knuckles gets that work from Shadow, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I believe
everyone gets that work from Shadow, so it's not just me.
No, but it looked like specifically you, Idris as Knuckles, you're going to get that work. So, I'm wishing the best for your character. I hope you don't get killed off so you can keep getting that money. But, if you do, it is what it is. You had a good run.
One of these days, you're going to get that work, Brandon.
What do you mean I'm going to get that work? From you?
Keep it up.
Okay, I will keep it up. All right. I don't know if you're referring to my behavior or my dick. But we did get a new Patreon subscriber, Idris. Trevin Johnson.
Trevin Johnson, you're new to Patreon. And that means that you are a patriot for the first time. I want to thank you for your patronage. Thank you for joining this wonderful band of people who love this show. You're here now. Thank you for your patronage.
Yeah, that's it, man. So what we're going to do is, you know what? Because it's going to be a little bit too expensive these days to export peanuts, we're going to rain check that, and I'll hit you up when we get more Patreon subscribers, and I'll send you a full bag when we're ready.
I want my peanuts, Brandon.
What?
I want my peanuts, Brandon.
I think you're too bubbled. You just so bring it.
I want my peanuts, Brandon.
Okay. Well, Justin, you're not gonna say anything. You're not gonna tell them how we sound.
Peanuts, Brandon.
All right, Idris, are you okay? Because you're in a loop right now.
You've made my peanuts, Brandon.
All right, we're hanging up on Idris.
You son of a. Brandon, why you gotta antagonize him?
I didn't antagonize him. He just kept.
Yeah, you did.
He kept saying either he wants my peanuts or my penis. I couldn't tell. He has that thick ass accent. It's weird. To be fair, I'm the one that brought my dick first, so it's I get it. I get it, man. I've been on these streets before. It's out.
Okay. All right. Well, guys.
But no. Before we get to we shout out our new Patreon subscriber. We also got a new comment on Spotify. And remember, folks,
okay. All right.
If you listen to us on Spotify, you can comment on the episode, share your thoughts, ask questions, and we'll talk about it on the episode, the next episode. So Pick Sir wrote, "You guys should check out The Man from Nowhere and No Tears for the Dead," in response to our Night Comes For Us review that we did.
Okay.
So it gave us a few action movie recommendations that we added to the list. So folks, also, if you have any recommendations, feel free to post those on Spotify, or you can leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/mediapopcorn. The link is in the show notes. And leave us a 5-star review, will you? Come on. It helps the show.
Leave us a 5-star review, will you?
Don't be a jerk. Lord, I'm just trying to encourage engagement, man. Damn. Did I sound all folksy though?
Leave us a 5-star review, will you?
And if you're feeling so generous, you can subscribe to Patreon at patreon.com/mediapopcorn. Aegis will read your name as well. And also it helps us accumulate enough new Patreon subscribers to get him to say your name so that it's worth me to ship these peanuts to him.
Yes. So many peanuts.
All right. We'll talk to y'all soon.
Peace.
Medium popcorn. We are two niggas spoiling movies. Yeah. Brandon Collins, that's me, and Justin Brown for your movie needs. Medium popcorn. Woo! You haven't seen it, well, we're gonna spoil it. Spoil it in your face. That's your warning. So if you get pissed, it's all your fault.
What's up, little biscuits and sun-dried tomatoes? It's your boy, Eddie Collins.
Guys, this is Justin Brown.
And we are Medium Popcorn, spoiling the movies. But you already knew that. You knew that because you heard Justin's beautiful velvety voice singing, and you heard my little crazy ad-libs. But we're not really spoiling this movie because it came out in 1974, so it's out there. It's a lot of public channels. It can't really be spoiled. But to help us break down the history of this movie as well as talk about an incredible event they have going on, Demetrius Angelo, how are you, sir?
I'm well. Thank you guys so much for allowing me to be on. I'm excited to
Absolutely.
be here.
We're excited to have you on. It's a pleasure to have you on, especially given that we're excited to be a part of the upcoming 12th annual Urban Action Showcase and Expo Urban Pop Culture Experience here in New
Yes,
York
sir.
City.
Yes, sir. Yes,
You want
sir.
to please tell the people a little bit about this event and like how it came to be and like what the mission is behind it.
Absolutely. The Urban Action Showcase and Expo is about celebrating diversity and the multicultural achievements within the blockbuster action genre. We make sure that we have heroic images that reflect multicultural image and interest in mainstream media. We're an action film festival, a pop culture convention. We also bring in the stunt coordinators and the stunt performers and give people opportunities to learn about how to get into the action genre. We have panels. We have obviously international films from over 13 countries around the world. But we also celebrate mainstream anniversaries that represent or have representation of heroes of color. So this year is 50 years of action cinema. We started 12 years ago. I was originally I was a consultant at HBO, started back in '99. And I saw how they ran the various festivals that they had. They had the Black Film Festival,
Mhm.
American Black Film Festival, Urban World Film Festival, East Asian Film Festival, Latino Film Festival, and so forth. And I saw that number one, the blockbuster genre, the action genre, was not part of that.
Yeah.
Number two, they really didn't cater to the, I should say, the independent filmmaker that didn't come from a school, like a NYU or a Columbia or so forth. So I saw an opportunity there when Cinemax, which is the sister channel to HBO, became a content creation versus acquisition channel. So fortunately, I had the relationships to go and say, hey, listen, what about an action film festival to focus on diversity and have the Cinemax brand as the sponsor? Because being that all your content is action anyway, and one of your channels was called Action Max,
Yeah.
So I'm like, let's just focus on that. So by the grace of God, they gave me the opportunity, and that's where we got our start. So from up until I think 2021, we were with HBO Warner Brothers. And then after that, we basically continued on our own because they were purchased twice since then.
Yep.
Once by AT&T
Yep.
and then another time by Discovery. But
Yep.
long story short, this year, like I said, 50 years of action cinema. Our new partner this year is Regal Times Square, the newly renovated Regal Times Square, which is going to include the largest 4DX theater in the world, as well as the RPX theater. So we have basically the entire top floor. We're going to be running 6 theaters for 14 hours, called the 14-hour Action Cinema Megathon. We have over 120 films that will screen.
Jeez.
Like I said, 13 countries around the world, everywhere from the UK, Asia, Africa, everywhere, actually, all continents. And this year, Ron Van Cleef, the Black Dragon, its 50th anniversary. We're going to talk about that, but of course, Ron Van Cleef will be there. It's also the 50th anniversary of one of the greatest pop culture TV sitcoms ever, Good Times.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to have Bernadette Stanis, aka Thelma, Ralph Carter, aka Michael. We also going to celebrate Black Belt Jones. Okay, it's the 50th anniversary of Black Belt Jones. It's also the 45th anniversary of The Warriors. And the Warriors, as you know, big
Mhm.
film, Coney Island,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
every borough, really, every borough
Yeah.
you got to represent. We got 5 Warriors that's gonna be there.
That's dope.
One Lizzie, one Punk, and one orphan. So we're gonna have about 8 people from the Warriors. And I was fortunate when I started my event, like I said, 12 years ago, to be able to launch something called the Last Dragon 30th anniversary. And along with that came the Blu-ray that I helped produce with Sony. So this year, we're kicking off the 40th anniversary. And the reason why we kick it off is because our event is so close to the end of the year. We all know that the new car comes out at the end of the year before, you know what I'm saying, the new year. We all know
Yeah.
that. Right. So we're jump starting the 40th anniversary celebration of The Last Dragon. And of course, Timac, aka Bruce Leroy, will be there.
Yeah.
Eddie Arcadian, aka his real name is Christopher Murney. Mike Starr, aka Rock, will be there. How's About a Kiss on My Fist? Lisa Dalton will be there. The Radio Smasher himself, Rudy C. Jones, will be there. From Crunch Beast and Cyclone, we got Cyclone will be there. David Claudio. Yeah, it's a really great event. Of course, the writer, Louis Vinostra, will be there. We're hoping to get the director. We're working on getting Michael Schultz, the director, as well for that. As you know, it's also the 30th anniversary of Street Fighter, 1994, Van Damme, of course. But it's
And
also the 30th.
Bison. Sorry, we love Jean-Claude Van Damme and Raul Julia.
Okay.
Their performances are so out of control in that movie. We love it.
Well, hey, well, you know, it kickstarted a lot of
The video game. Yep.
Well, not just that. Don't forget Ming Na Wen from
Yep.
what's it called?
Well, she was the voice of Mulan.
Mandalorian,
Yep.
Agents of Shield.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It kicked, you know, remember she was Chung-Li.
Yep.
Yeah, it
So-
kicked off careers. It kicked off.
That's
Oh,
what
I
I'm
mean,
saying.
yeah,
It
that kicked off
kicked
my
off careers.
crush. My crush for 20 plus years on Chang-Li. Yeah, Chung-Li.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Byron Mann kicked off his career. A lot of people their career got started with that film, and then of course the Crow 30th anniversary, and we actually have the young lady that plays Sarah Moore, which is Rochelle Davis. She'll be here.
Okay.
What else? Oh, I forgot to say it's the 50th anniversary of Three the Hard Way. Fred the Hammer Williamson.
Oh, okay. That's right.
Yes, indeed.
The Hammer.
Listen, that man's is an icon as far as producing, directing.
Or just
did it
black
all.
cinema, just black cinema. It's
Yeah,
been around for a long time.
Also, people don't know Three the Hard Way. That's Gordon Parks.
Yeah.
That's Gordon Parks. So anyway, let me finish going down the list. 20th and 25th anniversary of The Matrix. And as I mentioned, I have the largest 4D cinema in the world. So we're going to have the 4DX of The Matrix for the 25th anniversary.
Okay.
We're going to do that in 4DX. And that, you know, that means that's the elements. It's going to move.
Oh,
and
yeah.
all.
When you mentioned the Regal, like, because I remember, like, Justin and I were just at a screening not too long ago. We saw Twisters there, and so that's going to be a hell of an experience.
Yeah.
Did you were you at the upstairs one or the downstairs?
Oh, we were the upstairs
Oh, yeah.
one.
That's the largest one in the world.
Yep.
That's the one.
I didn't know that, and that's a great fact that you're sharing with our viewers. So, folks, listen up, like, get your tickets for that. And Demetrius, I'm hoping since we're a part of that event, we can get to that screening. You know.
We got you covered. Don't worry. Listen. We got you covered. You see this medallion right here.
There we go.
It comes with the 40th anniversary Ultimate VIP.
Oh,
it's
okay.
double sided. Look. It's double sided. Who that?
Ooh.
Oh my God.
Leroy
There we go. Let's go. The glow is in the building, y'all. Glow is in the building.
But this comes with it, plus the scarf. Look. I got you covered. Look. We got the scarf. You got the Bruce Leroy side or Show Enough side. We got you covered. Whoever team you want to be, we got you covered.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, I know some people who I'm gonna have to fight over that. So
you're gonna have to fight because listen, the only folks getting the complimentary ones is you two.
Oh,
the rest gonna have to listen. Remember that? Oh no, my brother, you
gonna have to get your own.
Tell them urbanactionshowcase.com.
Yep.
You gotta get your own.
Folks, we got the link for the tickets in the show notes, so definitely be sure to go to this event. It's gonna be incredible.
Look for their link, guys. Look for their link.
Well, guys, and also with everything that he's talking about, we're also going to be there. If you haven't picked up it already, we're also going to be
if
there
you've
as
never
well.
met them in person, this is your chance to meet them and talk, chop it up. But
Indeed.
uh back to the Crow. I said the Crow, and then 25th, I said 40X, and now 20th anniversaries. We got Kung Fu Hustle.
Wow.
We're working on Chu Ching Ling, which is the tailor, working on him. But also Blade Trinity. Now let's talk Blade Trinity real quick, because anybody knows the history
Yep.
that launched Ryan Reynolds' career. Blade Trinity and Jessica Biel. Ryan Reynolds first came out with his brand of who you see him as today, as an action star,
Yep.
and Blade Trinity. And as you know, and of course, in Deadpool and Wolverine, you see he repays that favor 20 years later.
Yep.
So that's really significant. So these icons, these people are the foundation and the shoulders that all these people that you see today are standing on, because they gave them all their opportunities started then. So that's why we love the retro, because at the end of the day, it's important to remember your roots, remember the ground that you're standing on, and remember those who've paved your path and respect them. The martial arts is really about respect and honor. And as a martial artist for almost 50 years now, I take that very seriously. And these people embraced me growing up. I was fortunate to be able to know Ron Van Cleef and Black Hawk, St. Carlos, all these masters of the martial arts. And they came and they honored what I was doing for the culture and for the martial arts, because all action, when it comes to fighting, their root is in the martial arts.
Indeed.
Right? Starting with the 70s with the Shaw brothers, right?
Yep.
And then obviously the first studio, the first major studio to do a martial arts films, Warner Brothers, I gotta shout them out, Into the Dragon 1973.
In combination with Golden Harvest and everything. Yep.
Absolutely. And then from there, you start to see the evolution of the martial arts in other types of action from that point on. So it's very important to point out the root to the fruit, and why you're enjoying all these great fight scenes is because of the martial arts.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, I had never seen the Black Dragon before. Lluvia, our producer, had spoken to you about choices of films and stuff like that. And I know that this movie was near and dear to your heart, Demetrius, and especially with your relationship with Ron and everything. And I gotta say, man, I am a sucker for a final boss battle on a beach. Like, that is just, I don't know why in an action movie that's just like, you were talking about the Warriors. That's one of my favorite, like, and fight scenes and stuff like that. And so the final battle, I was like, oh, this is fun. This is. I mean, it wasn't. There's a lot of heavy stuff that happens right before that, so it's not as fun as it could have been. But the fact that he doesn't kill him and stuff like that, he's just like, why don't you kill me? And I'm like, oh, that's where that's from. That stuff. Okay.
So I know a lot of like the old martial arts films, from the 70s. Like one of my favorite films, from that time frame, like Silver Fox Rivals. I don't know if you remember that one.
Yeah.
So like this stuff, like I love it. But this is actually one of them that I haven't seen either. But at the same time, recognizing some of the stuntmen, martial artists in these films, and he was like, "Oh, wait a second, I remember this dude for some of the other things I've seen." Because you also got to realize at this time frame, it was a very small world.
Exactly, very early when it came to this industry, and a lot of emulating going on. If you're a film guy, you could see a lot of Enter the Dragon, a lot of Bruce Lee, a lot of mannerism, a lot of same choreography, even the dress. Well, the dress is cultural, but I'm saying, it's the foundation.
Yeah, it's the vibe. It's the
Yeah,
vibe is very Bruce, because this is 1974. He just died
yeah,
in 1973. So the
right,
whole martial arts industry were looking for the next Bruce Lee. So
exactly.
films like this, everyone was taking a little bit of Bruce Lee because they're just like, hey, I'm that guy. So it
Yeah,
was a very interesting time in martial arts cinema at that time. Then you had the Saturday morning matinees and things like that. Like,
Saturday afternoon Kung Fu Theater, Channel 5, baby. Come on down.
so there was so much happening at this point.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
So, Demetria, before we like really dig into the film, just real quick, I know you said that you're a martial artist yourself,
yeah.
and obviously you're influenced by all of these films, watching them growing up. For one, what was your style in the martial arts that you train, and what is one of your favorite martial arts films from back in the day outside of the Black Dragon? Because obviously we're doing it because this is something that you love.
Well, I'll answer the first part. I started martial arts in 1976,
Okay.
okay.
and I was jumping on the bed. See, that's what folks, that's what you did in those days. You jumped on the bed. You jumped on your parents' bed. I was jumping on my father's bed, and I was looking at Bruce Lee. I was like, oh, I want to do that. So he took me down to the rec center. That's what they called it in those days, and signed me up for June Reed, Tang Soo Do,
Okay.
1976. So that's how I started.
How much were those
And
classes back then? Do you remember?
How much?
How much were the classes back then?
Oh, you didn't know how much things cost unless unless they didn't want you to have something.
Yeah.
You know how expensive that you didn't come on now, you ain't know how much nothing cost until until you asking for stuff they didn't want you to have. You just think money don't grow on trees. You don't know how much anything costs. So I have no idea in 1976. In 1979, when I started training in something called Asian American Combat System, that was Okinawa Shunryu Kobayashi, karate. That was Largo Hermano Filipino stick fighting. That was Western boxing, Chinese boxing, jiu-jitsu, and kabuto, which is Okinawan Japanese weapons,
Yep.
and American freestyle. So that was a combined system in 79. My instructor was from the Philippines, and he was good friends with Danny Iasanto. And Danny Iasanto was the guy in Game of Death.
Game of
and
Death
Bruce
with the
Lee's
screamers.
student. Yeah, exactly. Bruce Lee's student. So he came out with something called the Butterfly Manual in 1982, or no, probably 83, 84. And I'm in the Butterfly Manual with Danny Iasanto, my instructor, Chris Zayak, and a couple other great masters, Felix Cortez, a lot of people. But yeah, that's what I started in then. And then in 91, I started something called Jukido Jiu-Jitsu, which was Judo, Jiu-Jitsu, and Aikido, and traditional Wing Chun under Grandmaster William Chun, which is the same person that brought Bruce Lee to Ip Man. And my instructor that learned from him, Dr. Gary Young. So I was very fortunate to have all these close lineages growing up. And then when I was in the 80s, when I was in college, I used to do some outreach in Washington Heights. And that's where Grandmaster Brown Van Cleve, Grandmaster Blackhawk San Carlos, the twins, Jerry, from the Guardian Angels, Grandmaster Tony Mayo, all those guys were teaching at this outreach, and I would go and train with them. So that was fortunate. And then I also trained with Beast, Cyclone, and Crunch. Beast was actually a New York State kickboxing champion, and he was a fifth degree at that time, Master Shihan at that time in martial arts, and he would teach at the American Black Theater. And what's very, very iconic about that is this is the original American Black Theater before the new one. And this is where the Uptown Comic Club started. So in the daytime, we would train. In the nighttime, you have Robin Harris, you have Dougie Doug, you have Bill Bellamy, you have all those people coming through. And another little history is that his brother is Dot-Com from The Office, Kevin Brandt.
Oh, wow.
So it was his mother, Andre, his brother Kevin, and his mom that used to do the comedy show. So this is before it came on Channel 5 with Monterio Irie. Ivy. That's after the new National Black Theater when they had it on TV. But I'm talking about the old school before it got on TV, where everybody used to just come through and do their sets. So, that's a nice little bit of history, how I'm connected. But my favorite film, believe it or not, is The Last Dragon. The reason why I love The Black Dragon is because it's Ron Van Cleef, and he's also a Timex instructor, but he also gave me my start. And when it came to my break for a commercial. So he called me for this HBO commercial back in '95. Back in the day, if you remember, you in order to get anything in Spanish in HBO, you needed this button on your remote control called the SAP button.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So this commercial had us beating up this guy like an old kung fu movie because he couldn't understand what was going on. So when he hit that SAP button, he can understand, then he could beat us up. But anyway, it was like an old kung fu throwback thing, and I got that audition through him. So and he's always supported me in my career for a long time, because he used to be the head of the SAG stunt coordinators. Like he was the head of that back in the day. For that, I forgot what they call them, but so my favorite martial arts movie is The Last Dragon, because clearly it told me that I can do this too. There's someone that looks like me,
that
then
representation
I can do this too. Yeah, because all those other guys were way older than me. Obviously Ron Van Cleef was older than me, Fred was older than me, Jim Brown was older than me, Jim Kelly was older than me. So I saw a reflection of what I could be. But when AKA Bruce Leroy came on the screen, I was like, oh, I can definitely do it now.
That's what. So, sorry, Justin.
No, because that's also like a weird time in martial arts, because, I mean, dare I say, there's a point where they kind of tried to they started to whitewash it. And it was like they were pushing more of the white martial artists, and then even the Asian martial artists who are the guys who pioneered all this stuff, and a lot of black martial arts as well were slowly starting to be pushed into the background. But then when The Last Dragon came out, it really just reignited that love within our community. So that's a weird time. That was kind of a weird time for martial arts, especially after Bruce Lee, because the industry saw, hey, this stuff is bankable, and then they just started flooding it with obviously Chuck Norris and things like that. But it's
right, exactly.
Become an afterthought.
Exactly. So 85, if you think about it, it was the first year. Well, I should say The Last Dragon is the first film with a African American lead that wasn't part of the blaxploitation genre.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So their last film for the blaxploitation genre was One Down, Two to Go, which was the follow-up of Three the Hard Way. It was the follow-up, right? Fred Williamson, Richard Roundtree, Jim Brown, and Jim Kelly. Wow. So 1984, that was it. So 1985, for the first time, this is Barry Gordy's second film after The Wiz, right? Mm-hmm. So now you've got videos, you've got diversity, you've got Motown meets martial arts that was never done before. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why you got that is because of Michael Schultz, because Michael Schultz, Cooley High, Car Wash, he was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and he told me, I could be wrong, I'm getting older. He's the first to bring Motown, get the rights to bring Motown into the motion picture industry. So
sounds about right.
You would have to correct me on that if I'm wrong, but I believe that's what he was saying. So it was big for the culture, it was big for people of color, but honestly, we were never outside of the blaxploitation era. We weren't looked at as heroes. The next star that came after Timex was he just passed, Action Jackson.
Carl
Weathers.
Carl Weathers, right? That was
a Predator, and
a little later that year or the next year with the same co-star.
Mm-hmm.
Standing,
yep.
Right? So
rest in peace.
Yeah. So, but you don't have anything else after that.
Yep.
Name one film after that.
Well,
name
that's
one
what I was going to talk about. Like for us, Justin and I's generation, I feel like we got put in an awkward place with in regards to, you know, Demetrius, you talked about the representation that you saw in The Last Dragon. Like, we didn't really have that growing up, like for someone that was our age in like films like this, right?
Right.
And
Right.
it's tough because now you're starting to see a little bit more of that representation build. You know, Justin has three sons, and in different genres now they have representation. You know, whether it's Spider-Man with Miles Morales, or I mean, it was a terrible story arc, but like Finn in Star Wars, like you're starting to see more young black men represented in these different spaces. But you know, especially in martial arts films, I mean, that's kind of been. There's not much that's being made these days, which I hope it turns around. I don't think I told you this, Demetrius, but one of the films I wrote for Universal when I was at the program was actually like a martial artist movie that like was inspired by Yasuki, the first Black Samurai. And so, and so I'm hoping that will turn around, but the representation definitely leaves a lot to be desired these days.
Well, the sad thing is this: we never picked up the mantle that people like Gordon Parks, Fred Williamson, Jim Brown passed on, because we sat there and waited for someone to hand us a plate, a fork, and build a table. These people went out and built their own table. We didn't do that. The next thing that happened was that we forget is that even though theatrical changed, something else came on the scene called VHS. And that's when you started getting all the 90s action films on straight to video.
Yep.
That was a big market. Now, representation wise, us would still only ever been like one, maybe two, but it's always only been like one. So in that market, it was Billy Blanks.
Yep.
In that straight to video market,
Yep.
Billy Blanks.
Now it's like Michael Jai White, right?
Well, no.
Michael Jai White. Well, now that quote straight to video market is what? Streaming.
Yeah, streaming.
But it's different. The reason why it's different is, well, I can say it's kind of the same, but I feel it's different. The reason why it's different is, I'm gonna say this: the people who made it different. When I say straight streaming, I'm talking about premium television. I'm talking about the HBO Maxes, the Netflix, and stuff like that. I'm talking about people who produce content for premium television. And the people who really jump started that off was HBO with Game of Thrones. At that time, it was the most expensive series. Then afterwards came Marco Polo. I think that was 100 million. They were doing 10 million episode. So it raised the bar for home entertainment.
Yep.
And what else changed? But you got to understand, it was all by design, right? Because if that weren't so, why does your TV change? Why does your TV change from 4:3 to 16:9?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So the market change, and you can also see that reflected in how much TVs cost, because to have something called a quote plasma TV at that time was like $3,000.
Oh yeah, you were paying that credit off for at least 10 years. Like,
remember that?
You know, now I need to get an extra shift.
Now you can get a 75-inch TV for less than $500, 4K UHD. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So the markets always reflect, you know, what's changing and the changing that they're pushing. So now streaming is comparable to theatrical.
Yep.
That's why they play with, sometimes you can do theatrical and streaming, you know, at the same time. Because at the end of the day, people just want their money.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? They want the money at the end of the day. And I feel like they've yet to really do something about the theatrical model, because as you know, theaters is experiential entertainment, but the majority of that money goes to the studios. That's why your popcorn costs more than this shit.
Exorbitant amounts of money.
More than your ticket. You know what I'm saying? Well, actually, not more than your ticket. That ticket is expensive now, at least in New York. But you know, I think they've made some advancements with those the monthly pass model, where you can do know, certain amount. I think that's smart of them, because people just buy it in New York, because the movie already costs $22, $23 already in New York. If you go to the ones that I go. So if you go to something called Prime or Dolby, that's where the seats recline and stuff like that. That's already $24.
Yep.
So your monthly subscription is 23. So it's a no-brainer. If you want to go to the movies more than one time in a month, you just get the subscription, you're gonna save, you know.
That's right.
But back to when we're talking about representation, it's still always been one. In the straight to video, it's been one. But I feel now because of streaming and because you have so many different networks, now we have the representation, but not as much in action. And the ones that do come from action are not necessarily coming from America.
Yep.
They're coming from UK, it's coming from Africa and stuff like that. When you look at Netflix and you see the different films.
Yep.
So I think that the solution is always build your own table. And that's what Michael Jai White is doing. The reason why you see him is because he has gigantic studios in Connecticut. You know, he's building his table and producing his content. And I feel like until we really get that in our head, we're going to just always be waiting and complaining that there's only one.
Well, I also think just a little bit of it is the fact is that martial arts, especially today, is almost seen as like a rich kid sport. You know what I'm saying? Because the barrier of entry to take martial arts class, they're extremely expensive these days. So where it was back in the day, there isn't as much access. So a lot of people who want to take martial arts, you know, a lot of them can't afford it. But it's been that way for a long time. But like, I feel like, especially now with the explosion of the UFC and the MMA and things like that, the prices have ballooned even more. So, you know, unfortunately, I feel like for a while, you're not going to see as many black faces within martial arts films unless they are like athletes coming from that, you know, the athletic realm and then branching out into doing films and things like that. Because the younger generation, unless you have money to pay $500 a month, you know, for a martial arts studio, you know, depending where you are, obviously, you know, you could be kind of priced out, which kind of sucks. Because I've looked into martial arts for my sons. I'm just like, oh boy, these.
Well, I'll say those commercial schools. If you want to learn the real martial arts, you got to go to those community centers where you got the teachers that are teaching hardcore real martial arts,
but I love it.
Trying to cater to pay the rent, right? Because at the end of the day, you got to pay the rent. But as you know, television and media or whatever has always influenced the you know, the excitement and the whole, you know, wanting to do martial arts craze kind of thing. I feel like today we've got some bad examples. I'm going on the record. Cobra Kai is horrible. Cobra Kai is not the message of the martial arts. The martial arts that they're doing is terrible. It's not martial arts, and just the code of ethics is just, you're doing too much, as the young people would say.
Well,
I don't like that.
I mean, yeah, we definitely agree with you on that. Like,
we found Cobra Kai is not the one. It's not. Remember what Karate Kid, man, the Karate Kid, Mr. Miyagi made it plain wax. It's about the respect. It's about the honor. It's about the discipline. It's about doing what you got to do to get it done until it's done right. Yeah, that's not the message no more.
No. They're trying to kill each other.
Yeah,
it's gangs at this point. It's insane. But I do want to make sure that we talk a little bit about the Black Dragon, just because, you know, we only have a little bit of time left with you, sir. And folks, you can find the Black Dragon. It's free, available online in different outlets and everything like that. But the quick blurb, which I think summarizes the story pretty well, that's online, is decent, simple, honest Chinese farmland. An ace martial artist, Tai Lin, goes to the Philippines to seek his fortune. He befriends scruffy, petty street hoodlum Sao Mao and gets a job as a dock worker. When Tai Lin discovers that the people he works for are involved in a crime syndicate that specializes in smuggling opium, he quits his job and joins forces with two fellow martial artists against the evil organization. Now, the one thing this omits is that actually his estranged wealthy brother is also involved in the syndicate, which is a big plot twist, because he's like, I hear we're selling opium, and the brother's like, no, and then he goes searching in the packages. He's like, what's this? And I was like, oh man,
no, that wasn't his brother. That was his brother.
Remember, that's the Sifu.
No.
Remember, that's the Sifu. what that came in the beginning that had came
Oh,
from the
that's right.
Philippines
That's
with
right.
the ivory and gold cigarette,
Yeah.
showing
Oh,
off,
yep.
and then
Great.
started fighting
Yeah.
the
With the
guy.
cigarette in his mouth. I love
Yeah,
that.
started fighting him, and he was like, "Oh, he's like, why? You're rich now. Why you want to fight me?" So, because you said you could beat me one day. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And then he came, the humility, right? The
Yep.
farm guy is humble. But what's interesting, I should say, about this is you've got a title of a film of someone who is really not the main character, and in the beginning you think he's actually the antagonist,
Yeah.
but he's not, because if you listen to what he's saying, which is Ron Van Cleef we're talking about, he's telling you, bro, you're in the wrong side of of the docks,
Yep.
so to
Yeah.
say, with this one. And we actually fighting against the evil that's going on. But the fact that you have him, this movie named after him, and he's the the billboard icon for this is big. Is big for the culture. Once again,
For sure.
1974, for the first time, because of Enter the Dragon, you had a black man on the screen as a protagonist and as one of the main characters, in the martial arts, what I'm saying, with Jim Kelly and Enter the Dragon. So clearly afterwards, they're giving, Ron Van Cleef this opportunity, to I guess at the end of the day, represent, not only himself, but the community. And I feel he did a great job at
Oh,
it.
yeah. He got busy. He got busy
But-
in
Oh, yeah.
some of these scenes.
But
he
what's
was more
crazy,
cut than
though-
Julian salad up there.
But think about it. He spoke English. Why they couldn't use his voice?
Yeah. Well, so it is something interesting about like these films at the time. It's just like the Asian market, they were really good at marketing and rebranding for depending on the market they're using. Like for instance, you had the Green Hornet in China. It was the Kato show. So there was just like Bruce Lee's the star of this, and it's like, yeah, he's not the star, but he's the star of this. So it was called the Kato show over there. So I imagine, and I don't know for sure. I imagine where in China, this may not be called the Black Dragon, but it may be called something else. But then once they sold to the American market, because of the heavily influencing the Black community, there's like the Black Dragon.
It does have a different name. Internationally, I don't want to butcher the name, but it's I think it's Zai Nang Yang is the international name.
I'm not even gonna try.
I just did, even though I said I wasn't going to. But I hope I wasn't disrespectful. But yeah, I mean, this movie is tight. It's 88 minutes, and it just hits the ground running. It's got some wild fight scenes. I mean, I love a Shaw Brothers zoom. Like, it's just nothing break. Like, for some reason, I always smile when it does the zoom up. It's just the facial reactions, wide eyes, raised eyebrows. It just, I did laugh. It's not like because the it's just the brevity of the scene where he's quitting, and they're like, well, with the contract, you owe us $100,000, and he's like, oh.
Yeah. Well, remember, he couldn't read and he couldn't write.
Yeah, but that was the blackest shit I ever seen. He was like, what?
He's like, I guess I gotta start beating up people down at the docks still.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what? It's funny though, because that also speaks to a time where, yes, very much uneducated people were being taken advantage of by business. They still do to this very day. And that you sign a contract and you don't realize that they own you for forever. And especially the fact is that they were laughing when he was signing it. They're like, "Oh, you just want some medicine? Ha ha ha! Let's get him." Add 4 more years to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I did love how literal like the villains were. Like, they did the evil laughs, and it's just like, all right, these are clearly the villains, these are clearly the good guys. Like, it's very like, and I think that's what's kind of missing sometimes in films these days. It's like, it doesn't have to be overly complicated. You don't have to add a bunch of different subplots and different people. Like, just have one story, good guys, bad guys. They're gonna fight at the end. Cool. The good guy is gonna prevail. Like, I think a lot of movies overcomplicate that simple trajectory. It's fine.
I mean, because when it really comes down to it, westerns kind of set the bar. It's just like the man in the white hat, good guy. Man in the black hat is the bad guy. It's like that's all you need to know, and then we're gonna move on with the story from there. And then like things, we started to blur those lines, which is good because it adds something to it. But at the same time, sometimes you want a nice, simple film where you're just like, I know what's going on here, and the fighting's great. I'm here to watch.
Absolutely.
Demetrius, what's your favorite? What would you say is like your favorite scene or maybe quote or something like that from The Black Dragon?
Understanding that, the character for Ron Van Cleef was mostly a vigilante kind of character trying to, stop what was going on. So you immediately see him beating up people, right?
Yeah.
So
I had a lot of questions about his character. I wish we had more about Black Boxer because I was like, how did he get here? What's going on?
Yeah, so obviously in those movies, I'm really only looking for the fighting. I'm not looking for a lot of, storyline. The storyline is basic and it is okay, but I'm really looking at the fighting and how it's executed and so forth. And once again, like I said, this is 1974.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the beginning. This is the first Black person to do kung fu movies ever. Ron Van Cleef. He's the first, Then you got Carl Scott, and then you've got what's his name?
Jim Kelly.
Tremaine. I gotta figure out his name, but we just honored him last year. But anyway, so of course I like the first fight scene where we see, once the main character had gotten off the boat and after the guy had tried to steal his money, and when he walked around the corner, he saw Ron Van Cleef beating up these guys.
Like 5 dudes.
Right. He saw that. Like I said, that's, any of the fight scenes are really just my favorite. To me, they're not really saying anything that interests me, in 1974 in these films.
In a way, it's kind of a basic union story. It's just like, when you're in a union, you can't just beat the shit out of your boss.
Yeah. So that's that.
I think for me, the fight that really stood out to me, it's actually not even the last fight. It's actually the fight where Ron Van Cleef and the other Asian guy took on like those 2 goons when they show up. The big guy,
really big dude that like was like Terminator style, just barging.
So he shows up and he starts fighting the Asian guy, and he's kind of taking him to task. And then Ron Van Cleef's like, I got this. And then they start going toe to toe. And then you have the brother come it's almost like he flies in out of the sky, which is classic kung fu movie.
Exactly.
What was wild about that scene is it reminded me. I was like, "Oh, is this what it might have influenced that scene in Street Fighter the movie?" Going back to the urban action showcase where it's Ken and Ryu fighting Vega and I'm blanking on the last character's name, but like remember it's almost like a 2-on-1, and then Ryu comes in and it's like this awesome like full battle melee. That's what it reminded me of a little bit.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is like there's a lot of inspiration you're gonna get from kung fu movies that just keeps on coming up all over martial arts for decades down the road.
Even though y'all talk a lot about honor and stuff like that with these fighting styles and stuff, they were stomping on brothers' chests so disrespectfully in this movie. Like just
okay.
But this is
I'm gonna tell you where everybody misunderstands the martial arts. It's called self-defense. And the defense is only the first thing you do. After you defend, you offend. Attack. You have to what we call neutralize the attack. Make sure that it's no longer a threat. So basically, that means you get stomped out.
Yeah. You make sure that dude ain't gonna get back up.
Exactly.
So I'm a martial arts as well. I did White Tiger Kempo, which is Kung Fu Kempo, Kung Fu Jiu-Jitsu, and Aikido. It's a blend of that. I've also done a little bit of Shaolin Kung Fu. And one of the things from all of these things is, and we spoke about in a movie recently that we just reviewed, and these guys are supposed to be like soldiers. and they'd fight these guys. And there's like 43 guys. I'm just like, why aren't they killing them? Why aren't they maiming these guys? Because there's too many of them, and there's only 2 guys. I'm like, so it was driving me nuts. Brandon thinks I'm crazy. He's just like, they should be killing. But if these guys are trained soldiers, if you're trained in martial arts, you are going to make sure that that guy doesn't get up, because that's one less person you have to worry about. That is the core of martial arts. Hey, somebody comes at you, you take them down, you take them out, and then you can get out of there.
Yep.
Didn't Michael Jai White say like a quote like that? Like one of his characters in the movie was like, "I've never been in a fight." It's like, because a fight requires a 2-way interaction, engagement. Or something like that. Like, he's just like, I always just, I incapacitate the opponent.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
sense. What you're supposed to do.
Exactly.
Demetrius, I have a question. When this movie came out, the Black Dragon, did you see it in the movie theater?
No.
Okay.
So I didn't see it in the movie theater.
So you watched it at home?
I didn't see it until Kung Fu Theater.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Later on. Okay, remember, you wasn't just going unless you lived in New York City. I didn't live in New York City.
Gotcha.
I was born in D.C. I was born in Washington, D.C. So you wasn't walking down. Nah, my parents wasn't having that. My father integrated the Metropolitan Police Department, D.C. Police Department. He was not having you do nothing that's going to get you in trouble. You just wasn't doing that. So we were in the suburbs. I didn't have access to go down to 42nd Street like everybody else did. I didn't have access to do that until 86. 86 when I got here. I didn't have access, so nope. Only thing I saw is what they saw. You saw what your parents saw.
Yep.
You saw Sparkle. You saw Cleopatra Jones. You know what I'm saying? You saw what they saw. That's what I saw at the movies. I didn't get to see no Kung Fu theater at the movies in those days.
Got it.
In actuality, I would say probably the first, I guess, Kung Fu adjacent film that I ever saw in the theaters was probably Blade. It's probably Blade.
Before Crouching Tiger?
Yeah,
Blade was 98. So
the first Crouching Tiger came out in 99, right? So
you're talking about the first Blade?
The first Blade.
Okay.
That's probably the first like Kung Fu movie per se that I ever saw in the theater, because outside of that, we didn't have that many. I mean, I wouldn't consider like Passenger 57 a Kung Fu film, even though yes, there was martial arts, but it was different.
What about Surf Ninjas?
No, I didn't see that in the theater either, but I wouldn't even consider that Kung Fu. That's a common. Yeah,
Ninja Turtles.
Oh, you're right. I did see the first Ninja Turtles. So, I mean, I guess that, but I also don't consider that a Kung Fu movie. Well, it is, but it's the Turtles.
I understand.
Man, it felt something different because I was watching the Turtles. I'm born in '84, so I grew up with the Turtles. So that was something different from me. But like seeing like somebody doing Kung Fu on television or the big screen, for me it has to be Blade.
Got it.
Lluvia is asking in the chat Power Rangers, but I like, to Justin's point, I don't consider that.
But that wasn't theatrical though.
Well, the Power Rangers movie.
Yeah.
When was the Power Rangers movie in the theater?
96.
Oh, I missed that one.
Yeah, you don't worry.
And only one of the actors could actually fight.
Yeah.
So that's a little tough because the rest of it's just stunt people, right? So, but
which is what that show was anyhow. But that's besides.
Yeah, I mean, well, they spliced it with the international cuts and stuff. Yeah. That was a weird time. But I guess one of my last questions for you, Demetrius, is in knowing Ron like as part of this Brown Van Cleef in this movie. What has he told you about the experience making this movie and like?
Yeah, what is this meant to?
Yeah, well, I remember he said before on one of the interviews that we did is everything in Hong Kong they do it on the spot.
Yep.
You ain't got no rehearsal. You do it on the spot, and then you got to do it. And sometimes you got to fight for real because they don't believe martial arts for real.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget, everybody has these presuppositions, right? Perception is reality, right? And the perception that they gave of us that we lazy, we were criminals. Remember that? So you go into a foreign nation where all this what do you call it? Uh what is it called that when you propaganda
Yeah.
is over there. So they don't believe he knows martial arts or whatever. So he's got to prove himself. He got to show them.
Yep.
So yeah.
So much like Bruce Lee with the Enter the Dragon, it's like this guy's not real. And then there was a few times you had to put people
Exactly.
down on set, like because
Yeah.
that was a big part of it. People would challenge you. They would be like, "Oh, I'm going to test that belt right now," and you have to
Exactly.
stand and deliver.
Yeah, that's the sad thing. A lot of people, when you get to that point, that's too late when you after you test, because now you hurt. Because I'm like, dude, we ain't playing games. This is real. So it's like, either leave me alone or you gonna have to find out the hard way. You
So
know.
it's funny, and because I've done Brazilian jiu-jitsu and things of that nature as well, and going to Brazilian jiu-jitsu schools is very much still like that.
Mm,
And like they wasn't like, oh, where have you trained before? I've trained under this person, notable people. And then
mhm.
it's like, I've never heard of that person. I'm just like, I mean, this literal choke's name. I'm like, whatever. I'm here to learn. I'm a clean slate. And then
Mm,
you see how they test you. They slowly
mhm,
test you. Then it's like, oh, okay, roll with this guy. I'm like, because I've been doing it a while, I peeped that's the guy in
mhm.
class. Outside the teacher, that's his dude. It's like, all right, here's the one. And now I'm rolling with the best guy in class. Now I gotta wax him up. Now all of a sudden I have respect. But that's
Yeah,
how martial arts goes in some realms. Not everywhere, but
yeah,
like old school, like that's
yeah.
the old school ideal that like people don't understand. Like you don't mess around and say that, hey, I've done this. It's like saying I'm a Green Beret, and you walk into a bar Green Berets, and they're gonna be like, let's see about that.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree.
All right. Well, Justin, break down our rating system, baby.
All right, so you guys stop calling me baby Brandon. You know how we do
We've
this.
been
We
doing
rate.
this show for over 10 years. It's just embrace it, man.
Nope, I will never. You don't be calling me baby. So we rate movies bags of popcorn, small, medium, large, and the XL for the exceptional. If a film doesn't deserve any popcorn, we throw it into why am I forgetting?
The stale popcorn,
The
Justin.
stale popcorn pile. We pop piles and piles of stale popcorn at the top of it. So we sat down and watched the 1974 kung fu film, The Black Dragon. This is starring Ron Van Cleef. I don't want to butcher everybody else's names in this, but Demetrius, what say you, my brother?
I'm gonna give it a large only because obviously it's Ron Van Cleef making history, setting the tone and letting people know that look like us. It's possible, but you got to go get it.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
not gonna come to you. So for that reason alone, I'm gonna give it a large because again, this has only been 4 years since you've seen anything like this, and really 1 year where you've seen it at the level of Enter the Dragon,
Yeah.
where you had something to emulate. And I feel like for what it was for those days, you know, I'll give it a large. It's not like Five Deadly Venoms.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
That right there, extra large. That's Five Deadly Venoms.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother story right there. But like I said, for what it was, for the iconic man of color, black man, making the way for everybody else. And so Michael Jai White had his poster on the wall. And in 2019, we had Ron Van Cleef give Michael Jai White the mantle of the Black Dragon. So that's why Michael Jai White is now the Black Dragon. So once again, it's history and its foundation. So large.
All
Brandon?
right. Yeah, I'm giving this a medium. Could kind of go into what Demetrius was saying. At the time, this is a great representation of kung fu movies. I think that it was incredibly entertaining. It's really fast. It's 88 minutes. It goes quick and a lot of fun action scenes. And I just love the grittiness of the editing, the like I said, the Shaw Brothers zooms and things like that. It's just you don't get movies like this anymore. Just wacky and out there, and like just like, hey, we're just doing this. Like we don't have studio notes. We don't have a lot of different people in the editing booth giving suggestions. It's like it is what it is, and I love the rawness of that. And one quick thing, we should definitely do the 5 Deadly Venoms. We've never done that. And folks, if you don't know about the 5 Deadly Venoms, Wu-Tang Clan would not exist if it weren't for 5 Deadly Venoms, because that had a huge influence on RZA and that whole crew. So if you haven't read the Tao of Wu, like that's featured prominently. Just throwing that out there. Justin, what's your rating?
I'm gonna give it a large as well. I think, and to the points that you both made, but expounding upon that, there's a lot of things in this film that are also, in a way, kind of left on the editing floor because this is dubbed. So, like, a lot of this gets lost. A lot of this film gets lost in translation. But one thing that doesn't get lost in the translation is that ass whooping. They were whooping some ass in this film. I mean, there was a lot of fighting. It was gritty, and yeah, this is an independent kind of like more of a low budget film, obviously to, at our day, but they went for it. They went for it. Those fights that they had, they were really, going in. And that's what I love about, these films from this time frame. Like, you were seeing guys going out there, so it's like, all right, we're going to go fight. Like, we're going to go fight. And it's like, it's something that you kind of still see in certain foreign films, from certain parts of the world, where they still give that kind of care and emphasis on the martial arts. But, it's not something that you typically see in the United States these days.
Great.
Absolutely. Demetrius, thank you so much for coming on the show to talk about the Black Dragon, but also to talk about your upcoming event. Please remind the people how they can follow the event, get their tickets. Obviously, we'll have our ticket link specifically in the show notes, but just remind the folks again about your upcoming event.
Absolutely. Saturday, November 9th, Regal Theaters, Times Square, 42nd Street. That's where everything happened from back in the day. That's where it's happening on November 9th, 10 a.m. to midnight. All right, 14-hour action cinema megathon. We're going to be running 6 screens, 50 years of action cinema, urbanactionshowcase.com. You get the link from them. But we've got screenings, we've got panels, we've got seminars. We've got an action expo. We've got VR, we got gaming. We're going to have a Street Fighter 6 competition on the big screen. We got a lot going on. Click the after you get their link, just click the events and you'll see all the events of what's happening. We got an award show. Like I said, The Matrix and 4DX. It's a lot going on. And you get to meet people that love action cinema and martial arts and pop culture in general, and it's all love. First of all love. We've got cosplay going on. We got the cosplay contest. If you want to dress up, you can.
I'll be there in a kung fu gi.
Well, you can definitely you can decide if you want to be in the Last Dragon cosplay contest, where you could be Bruce Lee, Roy, obviously one of Sho'nuff's crew or Sho'nuff or whatever. But it's a good time. At the end of the day, it's all love, all honor, all respect. It feels like a family reunion with the family members you like.
That's a good point.
Uncle Junior on the grill, everybody you like.
I love that. Thank you so much, man, for joining us. Folks, as always, you can follow me at Frodo_Blackens on Threads and Instagram. Drunk Black History is going to be part of New York Comedy Festival, so get your tickets at drunkblackhistory.com. And, of course, you can follow the show at Medium P Podcast on all social media platforms, including TikTok. Go to youtube.com/mediumpopcorn. Push that subscribe button so you get alert about all future reviews and celebrity interviews that we have on there. It's almost award season, so there's going to be a lot of content popping up on that page. And, Justin, how can people follow you as well as support the show financially if they choose to do so?
Guys, you know about me. Jay Brown did it on all the social media platforms, but this show needs to be supported, and you could do that by going to Patreon, patreon.com/mediumpopcorn. We have $2, $5, $10, and $15 packages. Our entire backlog is on Patreon. We have bonus episodes. We have
everything that you could want out of this show on Patreon.
And folks, let us know if you would be interested in an extra Patreon tier where once a month Justin teaches me a little bit of Kung Fu. I think that could be really good content, actually. Let us know. Hit us up. Speakpipe.com/media popcorn. Leave us a voicemail. Let us know about that. But again, Demetrius, thank you so much for coming on. We're looking forward to seeing you at the Expo on November 9th. And again, folks, the ticket links in the show notes. And yeah, we just really appreciate it. And we're looking forward to hosting a panel at the event. We've been actually keeping the big
urban pop culture panel you guys are hosting. One of the stars that's going to be on that panel are the Good Times crew, Bernadette Stannis, and of course Ralph Carter. We got some more surprise guests that'll be on there as well. And if you saw Bad Boys 4, all I'm going to say is Reggie will be in the house.
Wow. Yeah.
That's all I got to say. Reggie's going to be in the house, baby. Reggie Wick all the way through.
I can't. My friend and I were actually talking about that scene the other day because it's spreading on social media. People are like, "Oh, I didn't know this was in Bad Boys," and just the payoff with that character. My wife has been since the last Bad Boys, the third one. She's like, I feel like they're gonna do something with Reggie because they keep talking about how he has that military background. I don't know what they're gonna do, but I feel like, and then the fourth one, she's like, "Oh my god, it's finally happening," and I'm like,
erupted. Boy, that theater erupted.
Yeah, our theater lost its mind.
Loved it.
But you saw the whole the whole symmetry of how it was set up, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
When he was playing, what he was playing with his son.
He was playing Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Yep.
See, I'm talking to the right.
He transitioned from the video game to the real life.
They set it up perfectly.
Yeah, he knew what was happening.
He had the camera in there because when he wanted to know who was taking his junk food, right?
Yep.
And they played that thing. That was, I think, one of the most brilliant scenes in cinema thus far. I haven't seen anyone do that yet.
Yeah, because it was a clear setup, but a great payoff.
Yeah.
It was the best payoffs I've seen for a character, especially with this kind of longevity, because it's been since Bad Boys 2,
20-something years.
He started at 15.
Yep.
And you saw how that series did it in real life chronologically.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because remember, 2, he was 15 dating.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Dating her.
Yep.
3, he was a Marine. You saw he was already decorated when he got married.
Yep.
And 4,
he's a
you didn't know what to expect. But if you listen to what he said after Martin asked him, you need to get deployed, listen to where he said he came from.
Yeah. Yeah. Fallujah, right?
No, he came from Yemen.
Yemen. There you go. Yemen.
Yeah, I just got back from Yemen, sir.
Yeah.
But that's what I like, that humility that surprises you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Because as much as they always tried to punk him from day one, he was always stood on his game, though.
Yep.
But he was always humble.
Yep.
He was never a punk. See, people don't understand. They were trying to punk him, but he gave straight answers every time. Every time.
Every time. That's what we've been telling the people.
Yeah.
All right. Demetrius, thank you so much for joining us. And folks, we will talk to you all next week.
All right, y'all. Peace.
Medium popcorn. We are 2 niggas spoiling movies. Yeah. Brandon Collins, that's me, and Justin Brown for your movie needs. Medium popcorn. Woo! You haven't seen it, well, we're gonna spoil it. Spoil it in your face. That's your warning. So if you get pissed, it's all your fault.